And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host and author, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome back real-life reporter and thriller author, Linda Hurtado Bond, here to give us the inside scoop on her latest book out February 17th, All the Captive Girls. Linda, welcome back to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this book.
Oh, I will. But first of all, I just have to say, Sara, thank you for having me on. I love chatting with you. It's so much fun. We're friends. So this is just, but we don't live in the same city. So this is kind of fun. We get to kind of hang out and talk. So All the Captive Girls stars Mari Alvarez, who is a crime reporter. And she goes to the Gasparilla Parade. I guess my inspiration for this book was there's this festival in Tampa that lasts literally from January all the way through to March. And it's called Gasparilla, and it's based on this fictional pirate, Jose Gaspar. It's really just an excuse to party for 3 months, right, in Tampa. And it's great weather in the winter here. And so, we have 3 parades. We have a music festival. We have an art festival. We have a film festival. I mean, it's just, so this is Gasparilla. And I thought, this is so cinematic, these parades where people are going down the street in these big ships like Pirates of the Caribbean, and everybody's dressed up like pirates or knights, the Knights of Santiago, or the Rough Riders, Teddy Roosevelt's group. So everybody's in costume. And I thought, if you were a killer, what a great place to hide in plain sight, because something bad could happen and everybody turns around and the next person they've got a costume on and fake blood and makeup. And so I just thought, wow, that would be a perfect setting for a whodunit. And so that's really the basis. The reporter it opens with the action during the first parade, which is a children's parade. Gunfire erupts and boom, you're into it. Who's doing it and why? And it lasts for the whole entire book. So.
Well, I had never heard of Gasparilla. And as soon as you told me, I was literally like, okay, hold on. Pirates, my favorite thing. Good weather, my other favorite thing. I mean, costumes, parties, this just sounds too good to be true. So fun. And what a fabulous idea to set a murder there, because what are you going to do? Be like, oh, it was the third pirate from the left? Like,
the one with that eye patch on. Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah. What a great way to go undercover. So I cannot wait to get I just love the premise. I love the setup, and I love that we're back with Mari. So I cannot wait to get all the details. But first, I just want to welcome everyone, because we are broadcasting live to 8 different destinations across Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. So hi, everybody. Hi, mystery and thriller lovers. No matter where you're joining us from tonight, you are in the right place. This is the right time. It is Mystery Monday. And because Mondays can be murder, we are going to make them a little less painful and get your week off to a killer start. So if you've been here before, you know how it works. And if you're new, welcome, friends. We're so happy you're here. Here's how it works. Every Monday, I interview my handpicked featured authors. Tonight, it is Linda Hurtado Bond and Walter Mosley. And you get to ask them anything. So ask Linda about her real life career as a reporter and this reporter career, this reporter character, Mari Alvarez, who she has created, who I have a sneaking suspicion is Linda in disguise. Ask her about the writing process, her Emmy Award winning career, anything you want. I'll get those questions going in the comments. We have Shannon joining us from YouTube saying, hi, Sara and Linda. So
hi,
nice.
Sharon.
Hi, Sharon. Yes. Welcome. We have Robin.
Listen, can I just say something to Sara really quick? Sharon, she just read my book, All the Captive Girls, and put up a review on NetGalley, and I'm forever grateful for that, because that's how word spreads, right? And there's no better way to get someone to pick up a book than word of mouth. And so, Sharon, you gave me a really great review. I'm so glad you enjoyed it, and I'm very appreciative of you, because you've been following my career for a long time. So I just want to give a shout out and say thank you.
Sharon is such an amazing member of the book community and the Mavens community. Sharon's been with me for the whole 4.5 years. And I actually got to meet Sharon in person when I was hosting your fellow Floridian Lisa Unger's book launch up north. And Sharon came and waved and gave me a Hello Kitty pen, which we can see she loves Hello Kitty. There's her profile picture. And Sharon is just such a wonderful book community member. So thank you for that lovely shout out, Linda. And I love that you're able to be like, there's Sharon.
Oh, listen, you're nothing without your readers. That's just a fact. So when you spread the word about books, it just makes our author hearts happy. So thank you.
I love that. I love that.
Mhm.
We have another fabulous member of the book community here, Robin. Robin is such a wonderful member of the Mavens community, the book community, a wonderful reader. Robin, so good to see you. She says, hello, Sarah and Linda. Hi, Robin. So good to see you. We have your fellow Floridian joining us from Florida, saying hi from Southeast
Hi.
Florida. Hi, Renee. Good
Hi,
to see
Renee.
you. Robin is saying, Linda, we lived just outside of Tampa from 1980 to 1983, and I just don't remember all of these wonderful parades and celebrations. Darn it. Is Gasparilla a new thing, Linda?
No, it's not a new thing. However, it's grown. Like I think it literally started Ye Mystic Crew, which is one of the pirate crews, and there's there's dozens of them now. So they started it, but it's kind of just grown. Now there's a night parade with the Knights of Santiago and a children's parade that my station sponsors, and they just kept adding things. So maybe that's why back in the 1980s. Let's see, I came in the 1990s, so I'm not really sure what was going on in the 1980s, but it has definitely been around for a long time.
Well, I love that. Renee wants to know, Linda, are you ever going to come talk in Palm Beach County?
Well, Renee, I would love an invite. So I don't know if it's your public library or a local bookstore. If you send me the information, we'll reach out. And it's much easier for me to travel in Florida. I do have a day job, so it's hard for me to take off and travel the United States. But Florida's pretty easy because I could usually do it on a weekend.
Oh my gosh, I love that. How cool would that be? And then the rest of us could zoom in and we could have
Yes.
Mavens on site in Palm Beach County, Florida, and it could all happen right here. Oh my God, I would love that. Renee, circle back, tell us what's going to happen.
Yes.
Sharon is saying, Linda, I was intrigued from the first chapter to the last. And you know what, y'all? I was able to find the review from Sharon and on Goodreads, and I'm going to post it in the comments. You can all go read Sharon's fabulous review. Captured, and as I was also captured from the first page. So let's pause there. And Linda, because this is not your first book, tell us, as both an Emmy Award winning journalist and a thriller author, what do you think is the secret to both hooking a reader from that first page, but keeping them hooked until the very last page? What have you learned? What can you tell us about this?
Well, I hate to say I think it's a formula because people go, but I'm a plotter, first of all. And then I like to, with each of my chapters, start out with the question, okay, what happens, right? What happens in this scene? How does it affect the character? Why does it matter to the character? And how does it change what the character is going to do next? And I find if you write like that, it's almost like the wheels start spinning and then it just picks up and picks up and picks up. And you leave people wanting to know, well, what does she do next? Well, and being a reporter too, and learning how to write tight, like in my day job, I have to tell a person's story in 2.5 minutes. Right. So I'm also a very lean writer. So I think, it's easy to just I was a James Patterson fan, still am, but I loved the fact that his chapters were so short, right? And his writing so lean, like you literally just kept turning the pages because you had to know what happened next. So it's not that it's a formula. It's just, that's what I keep in my mind when I'm writing. And it's all based on how it affects the character, because that's who you're reading about and who you're reading for is the character.
Now, Linda, when you're plotting, are you literally writing out to yourself or on the paper what happens to this character? When you're writing, okay, chapter 1, what happens to this character, and then you answer that question, or that just is what you're keeping in the back of your head as you're writing?
No, I'm a plotter. Like my outlines can sometimes be 15 to 20 pages. They're long, and it's only because I write mysteries and I'm really big on dropping red herrings and twists. I love the good twists. And so now the interesting thing is I go in with all of that planned, and then of course it changes, and then you hand it over to your beta readers and it changes again. And then you hand it over to your editor and then it changes again. And then, so sometimes even the end of the book that you thought was so brilliant will change. So you have to be flexible to that. I'm a plotter, but I'm not a hardcore, like I have to stick to this. This is the way it's got to be. Once I start the editing process, I'll be a pantser. Like if something changes, it changes. I'm not going to fight it. It changes. But I like to start out with an outline. It just helps me, and I write faster when I have that outline too.
I love that. Renee says Palm Beach County Libraries had a writers live program. The authors speak at different library branches at different days. Okay, Renee, you're on Captain Renee is Detective Renee is on the case.
I like it. You're a reporter, Renee. Nice.
I love that. Robert was Linda. Do you know if there's still a wonderful stained glass shop in Ybor City?
Ybor City. Yes. You know, I don't know. I should know that, Robin. Gosh, I don't know, but I will tell you, Ybor City is thriving, and it's growing too. There's a gentleman that's developing, Daryl Shaw. I think he's developing a place called Gasworks in Ybor, trying to make it more than just like a evening destination for a place that you would go, eat dinner and then go to a bar or catch a comedy show. Ybor City, if you don't know, Sarah, it's very much like Bourbon Street in New Orleans. Ooh, very much like that.
Oh my God.
It's got the same rustic feel and the same kind of let's have fun, carefree spirit and attitude. It's also very based in the Latin culture of Tampa. So that's where, the Cuban cigar factories were and the Italians were. So there's still the Cuban club and the Italian club. So it's very culturally rich. Ybor City is. So yeah, it's a fantastic place. And one of the cool things in the book that I loved, this is because I love Tampa. I hope you guys, when you read my books, can just catch on to how much I love my city. It's so cool. Yeah. And so underneath Ybor City, there are tunnels, and nobody knows for sure what the tunnels are for. Maybe they're just sewage systems. Maybe they were used during Prohibition because they go right to the port. Hello. Why do they go right to the port? Right. Bring the alcohol in and bring it to the speakeasy. Maybe human trafficking. I mean, there's all sorts of theories and stories about what those tunnels under Ybor were used for, but they are very important to all the captive girls, to my story. So we explore the tunnels under Ybor City.
The tunnels are real. That's crazy.
The tunnels are real. Yes.
Oh my God. I did not know that. Ooh, Sharon has a question. She says, Linda, did I pick up towards the end of the book that there could be another book in the series?
Well, Sharon, that all depends. It was originally planned to be a 3-book series, but I will tell you that Entangled Publishing, the film rights agent for Entangled, has shopped it to some of the streamers like Amazon and Netflix. So fingers crossed if it's picked up by a production company and they like Mari and Detective Tony Garcia and photographer Orlando Jones, this threesome, then of course I'll keep writing the books forever. I mean, we all want to be Harry Bosch, right? We all want to have like our characters come to life on screen. But if it doesn't, until it does, I'm going to say I've got 2 other great projects that have just been sitting in the back of my head for a couple of years because I've been so busy writing this series, and I'm really passionate about them. So I think, I've written 3 books on serial killers. So I think I kind of want to take a break and write something different. But I have 2 series in mind. So I definitely am going to keep writing. It just depends on, the universe. I'm putting out in the universe. Speak to me, universe. What should I write next? I mean, I'm writing, but I'm not quite sure what's going to happen next. So we'll see.
Well, I, for one, love serial killer books. I don't know why, I just do. And so I would love a Mari book 3. So I am very excited. Okay, John is joining us from Northeast Ohio. Hi. He says, I lived in Tampa and experienced Gasparilla a few times. Oh my God, how fun is that, John?
So, John, then it's just a perfect place for a killer to hide in plain sight, right? And it's very cinematic. Cannons going off and beads being thrown and, people partying. So, I just think it'd be a great movie, too. It's so cinematic.
It would be such a great movie and such a great series, both All the Broken Girls and All the Captive Girls. They're so visually...
rich, culturally rich too.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the fact that my main character, so you have 2 Cuban Americans and then my photographer, Orlando Jones, is an African American. So your main characters are culturally diverse and representing really cool cultures in Tampa.
I love it. I love it. Everybody's talking about the Gasparilla in the comments. I'm loving seeing this comments. Angela, welcome to the conversation. She said, okay, I just got here. You're just in time. She's like, what is the name of the first book? Or we are talking about the second one right now. We're talking about the second one right now. We're talking about All the Captive Girls. And do you need to read? Do you think you need to read the first book, Linda?
No, I specifically write my series books so they can be standalones, because I can't guarantee that they may like all the Captive Girls and buy it because it's released now. And I don't want to make them go back and read 2 books first. So I purposely write them as standalones. However, if you wanted to read the series, there is an overlapping arc that goes from book 1, which is All the Broken Girls, which is right there, All the Broken Girls. Book 2 is All the Missing Girls. And book 3 is All the Captive Girls.
Sorry.
So,
yes. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's all right.
We are already.
So there's an arc. So there will be growth over those 3 books if you choose to read from book 1 all the way to book 3, but you can read any of them in any order. Book 2 actually takes you to Cuba. So if you're fascinated with Cuba, that book would be one for you to read.
I got mixed up because I didn't get to interview you for book 1. So in my mind, All the Missing Girls, it started when we started talking.
Right. I know.
I realized that was my mistake. So, so Angela, to answer your question, we are now talking about All the Captive Girls, which is book 3. So first was book 1, All the Broken Girls. Book 2, All the Missing Girls. Book 3, All the Captive Girls. I have read the second 2 and can recommend them. And now I know I have a third to read. So yay. Julie is joining us from Facebook saying, I loved this book. Oh, Julie, I'm so happy to hear that. Welcome to the conversation.
And thank you very much.
Yay. Julie's such a great member of the community.
Yes.
Robin saying, Ybor City was very industrial and kind of scary at night. The cigar making shops and the glass shops were so cool. Ooh, glass shops. Those sound very cool. Renee saying, oh yeah, tell us more.
Right. Or just it's the old Cuban factories, when they existed and were working. But I think the only one left is the J.C. Newman cigar factory, which is honestly so beautiful, and they've kept it beautiful. And I hope they never close it. I had my launch party for All the Broken Girls there, and they were so kind. They let me just have the place to throw a book release party because I can't give anything away. But the J.C. Newman cigar factory is in book 1. And that's another thing I love to do. I love to give a shout out to my favorite places in Tampa in my books. And so like any MacDill Air Force Base, Ybor City, JC, and specific places like the Columbia Restaurant. And another fun thing I've decided to do with this book, All the Captive Girls, is send out my own book influencer boxes to people that over the course of all 3 books have followed me, like Sharon, right? And give them a box full of love from Tampa. So they're going to get eye patches, and they're going to get pirate bandanas, and they're going to get sangria mix from the Columbia, which is in Ybor City. And they're going to get something from the Ybor City Museum. And all of these people in Tampa that have these businesses, the Saucy Queen, she has some dip, and she handmade eye patches, and there's keychains. Like there's local artists and local businesses in Tampa and Ybor that have been my greatest supporters for a long time, and they donated all these things. So I'm making these boxes, and I'm purchasing the books, and I'm going to give the books to these people who supported me. And so that was fun. So I'm going to send out probably next week about 75 boxes full of Tampa stuff, pirate swag, to the book influencers who have been very supportive of me, who I appreciate.
Oh my gosh, you should see the blooms of hearts just going on Facebook. Everybody is so excited about this. Renee saying, that's wonderful. Angela saying, oh, wow, that is awesome. Sharon saying, that is so cool. Robin saying, that is so cool that you had your launch party at the cigar store. This is just
It's a factory. It's not a store. It's a factory. Like they actually roll cigars there. And it's a factory with the old timey elevators that go up and down. And one of the coolest places. You could look it up online if you want. J.C. Newman Cigar Factory, but it's really
oh my god,
really a cool place.
I love that. That is so fun. Okay, Caitlin would like to know, how does your career as a journalist impact your career as an author, or are they totally separate?
Both. So I try to keep my social media separate, and I write under a pen name because, especially today when the media is not always trusted like it used to be, I want people to know when Linda Hurtado writes something, it's fact. It's been fact checked. It's the truth. It's a journalist writing. So when Linda Bond or Linda Hurtado Bond writes, and the reason I split those up, I'll explain. It's fiction, right? Now there's probably going to be a lot of truth in there, but there's also going to be some fiction. So my Linda Bond books are like the first 3 books I wrote for Entangled. and they are like James Bond movies. So there's action adventure, a hot guy, and they're more romancy. They're romantic suspense. And you go on an adventure, and there's a car chase and a sexy scene, and it's just like going to a James Bond movie. So that was Linda Bond, right? Works. And then when Entangle came to me and asked me to write a series of serial killer books, like true thrillers, no kissing, I decided I needed to change my pen name a little bit. So again, people would not be disappointed with me if they're expecting a sexy, fun romp with the James Bond type character, and they get a serial killer instead. So I want to be very open with everybody, right, about what I'm writing and what you're getting. And I probably will change my pen name again when I write this next series, because they're going to be more like Michael Crichton type action adventure thrillers. Like I'm going to write a book called Hurricane. So it's Twister, but it's a hurricane, because I just lived through 3 of them, and they were monstrous, and they affected everybody in our community in horrific ways. And so it's just on my mind, and I want to write it. But so that I might write under LH Bond. So it's still under, the umbrella of the Bond world, but you're going to know what you're getting. It's like full disclosure. Oh, so how does my career as a journalist? I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent.
No, that's perfect. But these are all your real names. It's your marriage.
Yes, it's all variations of my real name. My real name is Linda. My father's name was Hurtado. My mother's maiden name was Bond, and my uncle was James Bond. So they're all related. He wasn't the kunky movie actor. He was a law professor, but he was James Bond. So they're all related.
He was James Bond. Do you want to be a Bond woman? And then we'll get back to Caitlin.
Yes.
Do you want to be a Bond girl?
I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie, and I love all the action adventure, and I love the James Bond movies. I especially love the Daniel Craig version of James Bond, because it's a little more modern and not as misogynistic, maybe,
Yes. Craig is
but yes, I mean, who doesn't want to go on a wild adventure with a handsome man who's got a fancy car and is a good kisser? I don't know. It all sounds good to me.
Exactly. Okay, wait, let's get back to Caitlin. So how does your career as a journalist? I mean, you must be very good at research. You know what it's like to be a crime. You know what it's like to be a crime reporter. Right. You know what it is to chase facts and chase stories and to research.
Right. So I'm basically writing what I do. It does affect my career because I'm a journalist. It's very important for me to get things right. So artificial intelligence is another thread that goes through my new book, All the Captive Girls. And so using my resources as a journalist, I found policing and AI experts who I interviewed, and they gave me some of the coolest stuff in there that's going on today. Is cutting edge. And I got it from the experts in the field, like, the ones in DC. And then I had the sheriff of Polk County here in the Tampa area read the book, just to make sure the law enforcement stuff was true. And then I had a former bomb squad member of Tampa PD read it. So it does, first of all, I have access to these people because I'm a journalist and they know me and they trust me. So, they'll read a book if I ask them to, so that does help. And so that's kind of the crossover. Even though it's fiction, I still want it to be true, right? And when people read it, I don't want it to go, well, an FBI agent wouldn't carry that kind of gun, right? So those are the kind of details that I think make a really big difference in making a book seem authentic. And I do get a lot of people to read it before it goes to copy edits and is finalized.
Exactly, because I think that helps the reader trust the writer, right?
Yes.
Because if you read something and you're like, that's not feeling right, then it's hard. It's a different feeling. Robin's saying it perfectly. Oh, she said, "Thank you, Linda, so much for maintaining your integrity and your ethics in journalism." Well said, Robin, and thank you for saying on behalf of all of us.
That's really important to me too, as a local television news journalist, because I do local news, not national. It's very, very important that people in our community trust us. Like when those hurricanes rolled in, all 3 of them, who do you think people were turning to get information? They were turning to us. They were turning to our meteorologists. They were turning to our newscast to tell them, which direction the wind is going to be. Are you going to be in the path of the storm surge? Do you need to evacuate? What do you do with your dogs? What are stores still open to get? All of this stuff is really crucial. And I think that the media sometimes gets a bad rap. And I like to, put out there, we're still very relevant and still very needed in our community. And so it's important to maintain your integrity and ethics so people will trust you. You need them to trust you in times of crisis. And so that is important to me.
Exactly. And we need that's more important now than ever. Well said. And thank you so much. So speaking of the hurricanes, Renee wants to know, so will this hurricane book be more factual then? Are you still going to write fiction on that?
It's going to be fiction, but there are moments that I remember from these past hurricanes, and one being my mother-in-law who lives in West Tampa, which is where all of these books take place, is in West Tampa. So it's like a lower middle class neighborhood. Okay. So these people have lived all their life in Tampa, and it's landlocked. There's not any water around it, but in this last hurricane, it flooded and she lost her house and everything in it. Like, she's an 88-year-old woman and lost everything.
Oh no.
And so this image my husband sent me of her sitting in the kitchen on a stool with the water rising in her kitchen really just hit me for all sorts of reasons. So there's going to be a character in the book who's going to be, this woman who, doesn't want to leave her house and everything in it. She just lost her husband, and everything her husband owned is still in the house. And, there are people like that just don't want to leave everything. And why would you? You're not in a flooding zone. You're not, you're not being told to evacuate. And then there's this guy, and this resonated so much with my viewers, who on the way out of town evacuating tied up his dog or a dog.
Oh God,
to
no.
a fence.
No.
And when it was found, it was like the water was like up to the dog's chest. He left the dog to drown.
Oh God. Oh no.
And why on earth would you do that?
Why would you do that?
And then there's this group, a local group called Gray Bull Rescue, and they're former military guys. But basically, they go rescue Americans when they're in jeopardy in places like, Afghanistan or Syria or, Iran, when the government can't. So they go in and rescue people. But they also handle natural disasters. So they're going to make an appearance in the book, because when Davis Islands flooded and nobody expected it to, people stayed home. And they literally took their little fishing boat up to the front door of homes and rescued people. So this is, again, how my real life as a journalist will cross over to my life as, a fiction writer, because these people will make it into the book because of the heroic things or the horrific things, right? Both I saw happen during the hurricanes. And so, I hope that the overarching theme, of course, of the book will be resilience and how we all survive even the toughest of times, right? But there's also this theme of, gosh, are you going to be the hero or the jerk when the what hits the fan, right? Like, so I like to explore those kind of themes too, and not everybody's a hero.
Exactly. And I remember when my friend Amy's house was unexpectedly flooded in Houston, Texas, a couple of years ago, and she was not in a flood zone, but all of a sudden the water was pouring in and it was 6 feet tall, and she inflated an air mattress, put her child and her dog on the air mattress, and floated them down the street.
How terrifying. How terrifying.
It was up to here in 10 minutes, and they weren't in a flood zone. It just was so fast.
And then these hurricanes happened at night. So when the power goes, now you're in pitch black in a house that's flooding. It's terrifying. So because it's so close to my heart and it just happened, and I have one of my best friends lost her house on Davis Islands and a beach house. It lost both of them. So I don't know. It's just affected me personally in such a deep way. I feel like it needs to be maybe the next thing I'd tackle.
Did your house, someone's asking, did your house sustain damage, Linda?
No, and we're right on the water. So it's just the craziest thing. A lot of my friends lost vehicles. We live on an island off of St. Pete. Like, literally you can only get there by boat. So the island flooded. It did flood, but we're on the second and third floor. And so our apartment was spared, but a lot of my friends lost their vehicles because nobody thought to take their, to take their car anywhere, because usually there's a little flooding, but it doesn't flood the whole island.
Right.
So,
exactly. And Renee saying everyone, our hearts and, hearts go out to those in Asheville. The damage has
absolutely
been horrific. Yeah.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Yes.
No, it's so upsetting. Is your mother-in-law okay now?
Well, we're rebuilding our house, so it's one day at a time.
One day at a
She's
time.
back in the house. Yeah. So thank you for asking, Renee. I appreciate it.
Well, I love that the book will be focusing on drawing on real life things that you have been through personally and professionally as a reporter and as a
Yes.
resident of Tampa, but also focusing on the theme of resilience.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Well, we are out of time, but Linda, we had a few more questions really wanted to get to because I just personally am like, wow, you're an Emmy Award winning news journalist and you're a thriller writer and you're a mom. You just do so much. How do you balance it all?
Wow. It was harder when the kids were home, I will say.
Yeah.
Like I had to write at the soccer field, like during practice, I'd bring my laptop out and write there. My husband's very understanding, you just carve out the time. I say to people, if you're really a writer, you write. I mean, it's, you can't, I tried to quit so many times when the kids were young and I would always find my way back to the computer with another story. So it's not even a matter of, wanting to do it. You just, if you're a writer, you write, even if it never gets published. So,
and you're a storyteller because the stories you tell as a journalist are real, fact-checked, 100% true stories. And the stories that you tell on the page are fictions and novel, but drawn from your heart and your soul. Like in the core of your being, Linda Hurtado Bond,
I'm a storyteller. Yes. And I love people. So I love to tell their stories. It's absolutely a thrill. And it doesn't even feel like a job sometimes. And my job at my TV station in Tampa is amazing too, because I have a platform to help people and I use it. I use it to help people. It's a gift.
Oh my goodness. Well, I have loved talking to you. I love hosting you and I cannot wait to see you at Thriller Fest. Congratulations on Mari Alvarez, book number 3. I can't
All the captive girls. And can I just say one thing? I love Walter Mosley. He's coming up next, right? Such a big fan of his. And he was so nice. I met him at Thriller Fest. And, sometimes when you walk up to the authors that you idolize, right, you get all nervous, but he was really very, very sweet. So anyway, you guys are lucky because you're going to get to hear from Walter next, and I'm a big fan of his.
Well, he is wonderful, and he let me wear his king ring from a 200-year-old ring for like 5 whole minutes at Thriller Fest, which is very exciting. But yeah, I love how down to earth and humble he is, and how not in his ego he is. What an incredible human being! So everything you said exactly. Renee saying thank you, Linda and Sarah, for a fascinating discussion. Sharon saying you have such successful kids. It's wonderful. Renee saying thank you for being here. Yay, happy early pub day. Thank you for being here. Everybody's so excited. And thank you.
One last thing, I know we got to go. Sharon, my daughter is a pilot and her first flight as a first officer is tomorrow. She's flying from LaGuardia down to Pensacola and back.
Oh my gosh, Captain!
I'm more excited for her than the release of my book. I'm so excited for her. I'm like nervous. So anyway, I'm just sharing that because you guys, Sharon, you said I have great kids, and I thank you for that.
Captain Bond is ready for takeoff. Oh my God, this is so exciting. Well, thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you everyone. I know we have some people love to comment, and some people just love to listen. So if you were just here listening, I appreciate you too. So thank you, Myra. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Renee B. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Shirley. Thank you, Jean. Thank you, John. John with an H, John with an N. Oh my goodness. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Gail. Kim.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Nice audience.
And I didn't get to see you. My mavens are the best. I love you all. And go get yourself a drink, get a snack. Oh, Angela's saying thank you. I learned so much so quickly. Congratulations. And I will be back at the top of the hour with Mr. Walter Mosley. Stay tuned. I'll see you then.
Bye.